Right now, an artificial intelligence can write a fully functional Python script in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it can debug it in two.
Right, 2 seconds. So with that in mind, why are tech companies suddenly paying human beings $130,000 a year just to hold a specific Google certification?
It sounds totally backwards, I know.
It is a paradox. I mean,
Yeah.
today's deep dive is really about this exact paradox. The smarter artificial intelligence gets, the more valuable a very specific type of human credential becomes. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We're looking at a highly detailed breakdown of Google's 2026 artificial intelligence certifications. And our mission today really is to map out exactly how you, the person listening to this right now, can transform from being like merely AI curious
Yeah.
to holding a verified credential that is totally custom tailored to your current technical skills and your schedule.
And it's such a fascinating paradox to start with because, I mean, the anxiety in the workforce right now is just palpable. People feel like the ground is completely shifting beneath their feet.
Oh, absolutely.
But when you actually look at the architecture of these certifications, you realize that the future of work isn't about competing with the machine at all.
Right.
It is entirely about proving you know how to safely direct it.
Exactly. Directing it. And before we get into the three specific tiers of these certifications, we have to look at why a credential from Google so specifically carries so much weight. Because our source material makes a massive point of highlighting that Google didn't just, jump on the AI bandwagon recently. They practically built the road. But what does that actually mean in practice for you and me?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to a fundamental piece of architecture called the transformer.
The transformer, not the robots, right?
Right, no, not the robots in disguise. So back in 2017, Google researchers published this paper that introduced the concept. And, before transformers, AI models read text sequentially, like word by word,
Okay.
which basically meant they forgot the beginning of a sentence by the time they reached the end of it.
Oh, wow. So no context at all.
Exactly. The transformer model changed all of that by allowing the AI to look at all the words in a sentence simultaneously. It weighs how they relate to each other all at once.
It gave the AI the ability to actually understand context.
Precisely. And that single breakthrough is the engine inside ChatGPT. It's inside Gemini, almost every modern generative AI tool we use today.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when Google releases an updated certification ecosystem for 2026, the entire industry pays attention. They aren't just a software vendor. They are literally the architects of the foundational math.
Okay, so that context is huge. Is this like a digital gold rush where the company selling the pickaxe is Google? In this case, is the one writing all the rules?
That's a great way to look at it, actually. Yes.
So let's talk about the data that comes with that pedigree, because the financial implications in our sources are, frankly, staggering.
Yeah.
We're looking at data from Lightcast and Google's internal career tracking. What are these certifications actually doing for people in the job market right now? Like real-world impact.
The numbers are incredibly compelling. Right now, these certifications are unlocking roles with median salaries between $90,000 and $130,000 US dollars in the US market.
Wait, really? Just from a certificate?
Just from the credential, yeah. And that's not just at tech giants in Silicon Valley either. We're seeing these requirements pop up globally.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. From, 50-person startups trying to optimize their workflows to massive multinational consultancies.
Wait, hold on. I have to push back here.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me an online certificate realistically translates to a six-figure salary bump.
Yeah,
I have to be a little skeptical.
I get it. It sounds too good to be true.
Right, because if the tools are getting easier to use, literally just typing a sentence into a text box, why is the market paying a premium for a piece of paper that says you know how to do it?
Because you have to look at it from the perspective of a hiring manager in 2026.
Okay.
They are absolutely terrified.
Terrified of what?
Well, on one hand, they know if they don't integrate AI, their competitors are going to crush them. That's a given. But on the other hand, they are terrified of hiring someone who is just, bluffing with buzzwords.
Ah, right. The fake it till you make it crowd.
Exactly. A resume that says proficient in AI means absolutely nothing today. Anyone can type that into a Word doc.
Totally.
But a credential from Google serves as an insurance policy. It proves to the employer that you actually understand the complex, rapidly evolving ecosystem. You aren't being paid $130,000 for a digital badge.
You're being paid because you remove the risk.
Yes, you're being paid that much because the credential proves you can generate tangible business value without, say, accidentally leaking proprietary company data to the public internet.
That makes perfect sense. It's about separating the tourists from the locals.
Right.
The tourists just play with the chatbot to write a poem, but the locals know how the plumbing actually works.
That's a great analogy.
So, knowing that massive financial and strategic value, we really need a starting line. Because if you're listening to this and you haven't looked at a computer science textbook well, like ever the idea of jumping into an AI certification probably induces a mild panic.
No, for sure. It sounds incredibly intimidating.
But Google's first tier is entirely built to solve that exact problem. It's called the Google AI Professional Certificate, and it's hosted on Coursera.
Right, so this is the gateway. It is explicitly designed for absolute beginners, marketers, project managers, administrators.
There's no coding required.
It requires zero coding background, none.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The timeline on this is what caught my eye. It takes about 4 to 8 weeks to complete, which shakes out to roughly 20 to 40 hours of total commitment.
Yeah, it's very manageable.
I mean, 20 to 40 hours is basically the time it takes to binge a couple of seasons of a TV show. And it costs about $49 a month through a Coursera subscription.
Very accessible.
The curriculum features over 20 hands-on activities, diving into tools like Gemini and Notebook LM, and it focuses on advanced prompting and tackling AI limitations. The ultimate goal is to make you AI fluent for your daily tasks.
Exactly. Fluency is the key word there.
But let's dig into that term for a second, advanced prompting. Because right now, to most people, prompting just feels like asking a digital assistant to write a polite email to your boss. Can a total beginner really master effective prompting that quickly? What are you actually learning in those 20 hours that elevates it to a professional skill?
Okay, so that is the core difference between a casual user and an AI fluent professional. Casual users treat AI like a search engine.
Like Googling something.
Right. They ask a question and just take the first answer it spits out. Advanced prompting, which this course really drills into you, is about treating the AI like a highly capable reasoning engine that needs strict parameters.
Parameters, okay.
You learn how to chain prompts together. You learn how to feed the AI, say, a messy spreadsheet of raw customer feedback. Instruct it to identify 3 specific types of negative sentiment, format the output as a clean table, and most importantly, you instruct it on what to ignore.
So it's about constraining the AI, not just asking it open-ended questions.
Exactly. It's about control. And that leads directly into the other major focus of this tier, which is understanding limitations.
Right. The sources talk a lot about hallucinations.
Yes, the course spends significant time on hallucinations. Because a hallucination isn't just the AI making a silly mistake.
What is it then?
It's the model probabilistically guessing a fact with extreme confidence purely because it looks mathematically correct in the context of the sentence.
So it sounds incredibly convincing even when it's completely wrong.
Exactly. And if you don't know how to spot that or how to design a prompt that forces the AI to cite its sources, you are a massive liability to your company.
That is terrifying. And the sources mention Notebook LM specifically in this tier. How does that fit into solving the hallucination problem?
So Notebook LM is a brilliant inclusion in this curriculum. Instead of asking a general AI that has, read the entire messy internet.
With all the bad info out there.
Right. Instead of that, Notebook LM allows you to upload your own specific documents, your company's PDFs, your research notes, your meeting transcripts.
Oh.
The AI is then grounded entirely in your data. It cannot pull information from outside those documents.
This is huge.
It is. So you are learning how to build a closed-loop system where the AI becomes an expert purely on your proprietary information.
Okay, so you put in the 20 to 40 hours, you've swapped out your evening TV habit for a month, you know how to constrain Gemini, you know how to build a closed-loop research assistant in Notebook LM, and you are literally saving yourself hours every week.
Yeah, you are officially AI fluent.
But here is where we hit the ceiling, because the moment you try to take that knowledge and apply it to, say, your company's highly classified HR database, or you try to automate a massive supply chain workflow, you hit a massive security and strategic wall.
Oh, a huge wall. Using AI at your desk is very different from scaling it across a corporation.
And that bottleneck is exactly why Google built the Level 2 certification. We're shifting from personal productivity to organizational leadership.
Right. This is the strategist tier.
This is the Google Cloud Generative AI Leader certification. And look, If you're listening on your commute right now and your heart just sank because you think we're about to talk about calculus.
Don't panic.
No calculus? I pray.
This is an intermediate level, but it still requires absolutely zero coding.
Zero.
It takes about 2 to 3 months of, mental preparation, but the core training is roughly 8 hours of free material via Google Skills Boost.
And then there's an exam, right? You take a 90-minute, $99 exam. The focus completely shifts away from daily prompting and moves into business transformation, Vertex AI, and strategic enterprise use cases.
Which is where the real value is for companies.
Now, I have to ask, so what does this all mean for a manager who, breaks out in a cold sweat at the sight of code? Is this essentially being the architect who designs the skyscraper, but you never actually have to pour the concrete yourself?
That is exactly what it is. And what's fascinating here is how desperate companies are for this exact profile.
Really?
Yes. And it comes back to why so many businesses are currently failing at their AI integrations.
Why are they failing?
Because they treat AI like a plug-and-play software license. They think buying Microsoft Word makes you a great novelist, right? So they assume buying an enterprise AI license makes them a tech company.
Spoiler alert.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't.
Ugh.
Artificial intelligence at the enterprise level is an ecosystem. It has to be securely tethered to a company's private, messy data. The messy basement of corporate spreadsheets and legacy databases. We all know that basement.
Exactly. We all have that basement. And that is where Vertex AI comes in. The Level 2 certification teaches you what Vertex AI is functionally.
Which is what, exactly?
It is the enterprise plumbing. It is the secure environment where you can take a genius language model and connect it to that messy basement without accidentally leaking your customers' credit card numbers to the public internet.
Okay, so the Gen AI leader isn't actually writing the script to connect the database. They are the ones who understand that Vertex AI is the required plumbing to make the connection safely.
Precisely. Organizations are desperate for leaders who can look at a massive supply chain bottleneck, understand exactly which AI model in the Google ecosystem is capable of analyzing that specific type of data, calculate the compute cost.
Because it's not free.
Right, assess the privacy risks, and then hand a coherent strategic blueprint to the engineering team. The engineers know how to build it. The Gen AI leader knows what to build, why it matters to the bottom line, and where the legal landmines are hidden.
So it's about being the translator between the boardroom's business goals and the server room's technical reality.
Exactly. You speak both languages.
And it's really worth noting, our sources say this specific certification is only valid for 3 years, which just drives home how fast this ground is moving. I mean, what constitutes leadership in AI today will probably look completely different by 2029.
Yeah, it enforces a culture of continuous learning. When an employer sees this credential, they know your strategic knowledge is current, not some relic from the early days of 2023.
Okay, so we've covered the fluent user at their desk, and we've covered the strategic leader in the boardroom. But what if you, the listener, actually want to be the one building the technology?
The one pouring the concrete.
Exactly. What if you want to be the engineer connecting the plumbing we just talked about? This brings us to level 3, the most complex, rigorous path in the whole ecosystem.
This is where we separate the generalists from the highly specialized technologists.
Level 3 is the professional machine learning engineer. This is the advanced technical heavyweight division. And the commitment jumps significantly.
Oh, big time.
We are looking at 4 to 8 months of work, roughly 100 to 200 hours of preparation, labs, and intense project work. The exam costs $200.
It's serious.
The curriculum involves designing, building, and deploying ML and Gen AI models in production using Vertex AI, Model Garden, Agent Builder, and MLOps. And here's the massive differentiator. It strictly requires experience with Python and classic machine learning.
That's the gatekeeper right there.
Okay, 200 hours is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this brings me back to the paradox we started with. If generative AI models are so incredibly smart now, like if I can literally ask Claude or Gemini to write a complex Python script and it works perfectly, why do I need to learn classic machine learning? Can't you just ride the generative wave, prompt the AI to write the code, and bluff your way into an engineering role?
This raises an important question, and honestly, it is the most common misconception in the industry right now. Oh, yeah. Relying purely on generative AI to build enterprise systems is like hiring a brilliant, incredibly fast intern who occasionally hallucinates facts with extreme confidence.
Okay, that sounds dangerous.
It is. Foundational classic machine learning is learning how to build the lie detector tests, the fact-checking protocols, and the guardrails so that intern doesn't accidentally burn down the company.
Okay, that is a terrifying but completely eliminating image. So the classic ML is the lie detector test.
Exactly. When you deploy these systems at an enterprise scale, you have millions of dollars and massive amounts of user data on the line. You absolutely cannot rely on a black box that you don't understand.
Right.
And this is where that term you mentioned, MLOps, becomes incredibly critical.
Right. MLOps, machine learning operations.
Yeah.
What is that functionally for the uninitiated?
Think of MLOps as the immune system for your artificial intelligence.
The immune system, I like that.
When an AI model is built in a lab, it works perfectly. But when it is put into the real world, it encounters new, unpredictable data every single day.
Because the real world is messy.
Exactly. Over time, the model starts degrading. It's a phenomenon called model drift.
Model drift.
Yeah. It might start giving your customers wildly biased answers or entirely incorrect financial advice. MLOs is the infrastructure that constantly monitors the model's health, detects when it is drifting, and automatically triggers a retraining process to essentially heal it.
So it's not just about building the engine, it's about building the diagnostic sensor so the engine doesn't explode in midair.
Precisely. And here's the kicker. When a generative model drifts, a prompt engineer cannot fix the underlying architecture. You can't just talk it into working again.
You actually have to know the math.
You need a deep understanding of statistical models and data pipelines to diagnose the root cause and stabilize it. That rigorous requirement of classic ML is exactly why this certification acts as such a powerful gatekeeper.
You can't fake it.
You cannot fake your way through the MLOSS portion of this exam. When a company sees this level 3 credential, they know they are looking at an engineer who can build a robust, self-healing, enterprise-grade system.
And that brings us full circle to the $130,000 salary. The high barrier to entry isn't a bug, it's the feature. You are being paid for the disaster you know how to prevent.
Absolutely. You're the safety net.
Okay, so we now have a complete cohesive map of all three tiers. We have level 1, the gateway for fluency, level 2, the strategist for leadership, and level 3, the builder for engineering.
A very clear path.
But, a map is completely useless if you abandon the journey halfway through. Our source material outlines some very specific real-world friction points you're going to face when you try to actually sit down and do this. And more importantly, it tells us how to beat them.
Because theory is great, but execution is where the friction happens.
First up is analysis paralysis. You look at all these buzzwords and options, and it's easy to just freeze.
Oh, it's overwhelming.
The solution our sources offer is straightforward. Start basic and work your way up. Do not try to tackle all three at once.
It's a classic mistake. People want the prestige of the engineering tier without building the foundational fluency of how the models actually behave in level 1. You have to walk before you run.
Right. The second roadblock is a perceived lack of time. The source suggests dedicating just 5 to 10 hours a week, and it specifically highlights the Google Cloud Skills Boost labs. Now, instead of just reading textbooks, these labs put you in a live environment. Can you explain what the user's actually doing in these labs?
Yes.
That sounds a lot more intense, and honestly, our sources called it addictive. How on earth does a Google training lab become addictive?
It is entirely different from what people expect. When you launch a lab in Cloud Skills Boost, you aren't just looking at a simulation or a video. Google is literally renting you a secure slice of their actual supercomputer for 45 minutes.
Wait, really? The actual infrastructure?
The actual infrastructure. You are dropped into a real Google Cloud console. You are given a specific objective, like, say, configuring a secure endpoint for a language model to access a dummy database.
Okay.
You have to navigate the real interface, execute the commands, and build the connection yourself. It is immensely empowering because you are manipulating the actual machinery of the modern internet.
So it's gamified, but real.
Yes. When you complete the task and the system verifies your architecture, it fundamentally demystifies the technology. You get this instant hit of success. That's why it's addictive.
So you're actually getting your hands dirty in the real machinery, but safely?
Yeah.
That completely changes the dynamic.
It really does.
Now, the third roadblock is exam anxiety. The advice here is to strictly follow the official learning path and complete all the practice quizzes. The sources indicate this spikes the pass rate dramatically because the quizzes align your thinking with how Google actually structures its problem solving.
Yeah, the exams are rigorous, but they aren't designed to trick you. They're designed to test functional, practical application. If you do the labs, you'll be fine.
And the final roadblock is the imposter syndrome, the fear of having a lack of tech experience.
Hmm.
And as a reminder, the first two tiers, the professional certificate and the AI leader, require absolutely zero coding, none.
That is the most democratizing aspect of this entire ecosystem. The barrier to entry for the first two levels isn't a computer science degree. It is simply curiosity and a willingness to understand the mechanics of the tools.
So let's bring this all together. Google has built a brilliantly coherent ecosystem for 2026. You have the gateway, which makes you a fluent, highly efficient daily user who knows how to constrain an AI and spot a hallucination.
Check.
You have the strategist, who possesses the technical authority to lead organizational transformation and navigate the enterprise plumbing of Vertex AI,
Yeah.
all without writing a single line of code.
Right.
And you have the builder, the rigorous engineering path, for those who want to architect the self-healing immune systems of the future. You, listening right now, have a concrete timeline. Whether you have 1 month to dedicate to the Coursera path, 3 months to become a certified AI leader, or 6 months to grind out the engineering credential, you have a blueprint to completely change your professional trajectory.
It is a profound shift. I mean, the tools to generate value have been democratized, and the credentials to prove your mastery of those tools have been laid out so clearly.
But I want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on that builds on everything we've explored today. We've discussed these distinct tiers, the users, the leaders, and the engineers. But as tools like Agent Builder and Model Garden become increasingly powerful and autonomous over the next few years, what happens to these boundaries?
That's a great question.
Right. Will the AI-fluent users who master advanced prompting eventually merge with the engineers because the AI itself is writing all the underlying code? Or will the exact opposite happen? As the systems become more complex and black-boxed, will the gap between those who just type prompts and those who actually understand the mathematical architecture become a massive, uncrossable canyon in the workforce?
It really is the defining question for the next decade of human capital. Do we converge or do we polarize?
It really is. So
Yeah.
think back to that paradox we started with. The machine is fast, but human judgment, human strategy, and human verification have literally never been more valuable. You now know exactly what it takes to be the calmest, most structurally informed person in your organization. The map is in your hands. Take that first step this week. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.